Fang Django here, and I'm going to talk about what 1 year of leatherworking is for me. And now, I'm going to do this by showing you all the holsters I've made over, well, not all of them, but a few of them. And just the evolution of how my works have gone from the very first holster to the last holster that I just handed out literally about 4 hours ago. I don't actually have that one here with me, but I'm going to show you some pictures because I've been taking a lot of pictures of my works. Now, let's start off with the very first holster I had ever made, and it is this wonderful, beautiful piece that is, dare I say, not functional. Yeah, it holds it, but due to the placement of the belt loop here, if you want to call it that, it kind of jiggles a bit. I thought if I put a fat one on there it'd work. Nah. Get it done with a little bit more stitching on it. And just, there's not enough material there for it to actually work. Now, I based this off the Colonel Schaefer holster. Now, I'll show you a picture of that here. Yeah, beautiful holster, ain't it? And this, well, looks good. It would be somewhat functional, but a couple things here. It doesn't retain it very well, but I'm not going to really go into that. And someone's going to be wondering, no, it's not loaded. But my biggest fuck-ups with this holster and why it sits on a wall as a decorative piece, and so I can go look at what I've started and look what I've got to finish. I'll explain that mentality later. Burnishing on this, absolutely dreadful. Mostly because at that time I didn't realize you couldn't burnish chrome tan leather, which is what I used as a liner here. I didn't find out that chrome tan leather was not going to work well with a firearm until after the matter. Like when I jumped into this, I jumped in on it as a random off the wall, random hair up my ass sort of deal. Which, ironically, those are the things that work out the best for me. Yeah. I mean, I was working in game development before this. I'll tell you that story another time. But, for a number of reasons, this holster doesn't work and it's going right back on the wall afterwards. After this video. So, let's look at the second holster I've made. And it is this bad boy right here, which I call the Batwing holster. Yeah, getting a gun in there is a little bit more difficult than I'd like, but whew, it holds it fairly well. It's not the best holding holster ever. Doesn't have the best retention ever, but it's, in my opinion, passable if you're going to, like, church or the grocery store. But what is not passable is, once again, I fucked up the belt loop. Now, the belt loop, it does have a little bit more space in it, but because of how it's designed and how wonky it is, it kind of shakes a little bit when it's on the belt, so I'm not going to talk about that. Fact is, I fucked up, and I need to go back and redesign this, because this is what I wanted to be one of my signature designs, this Batwing design, whenever I actually start and begin working on holsters on a full-time level. Which more of that in the future for all you who may possibly be curious. But, I mean, I put my nice, wonderful maker's mark in there. Carved it in. Terribly, I might say. Oh, yeah. One thing I want to show you about this. I did the maker's mark, so... Well, not the maker's mark. The design I wanted to carve in there. That's the Tekadon symbol from Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans. Or at least what I thought it was from memory. Yeah, it turns out it's similar, but not the same. And these were not me freehanding it, and... This just proved that of all the things that I need practice on at the time, I was going to spend a lot of time practicing on leather carving. Which is one of those things I don't think I'm even going to offer starting out on the business. Now let's go back and look at this. The burnishing, so much better, so much better. I bought this stuff called Tokeno. It's fucking amazing. Seriously. If you like doing leather work, Tokeno is going to be one of your best friends. Not even sure if that's how you pronounce it, but normally my Japanese pronunciation's good. But this design here, got a little place for the trigger. Not bad, but reholstering's a bitch. So, put that back down. So, I do a couple holsters based on patterns. You know, everyone at some point, they decide they're going to make holsters based on patterns. I've gone through about 10 more holsters here and there. Made a few bucks here and there, just both things. Even got a knife sheath that I egregiously fucked up, but that's not in this time frame at the moment. And, well, I decide that since I bought a single action army, I should make a holster for it. So, here it is. It was at this point that I realized I should also pay quite a bit of attention to quality leather. I mean, the cheap Chinese stuff is going to be a bit different than your Wicked and Craig's or your Herman Oaks. And oh boy. Now, before we continue with this, this is one of the two guns I will never sell, and that's because Cimarron Arms does not make this anymore. It is an El Malo 2 in 3.5 inches, and I love this thing. It's a dream to shoot. It's not a dream to take apart, by the way, and I'm going to be doing a little bit more custom work on it because I have to unscrew parts in order to actually clean it. Anyways, let's talk about this. Gun fits nicely, has decent retention, not perfect retention. I can't turn this thing over and it not slide out, which is one of those tests that a lot of holster makers do. Turn it over, shake it like a madman, pops out, not good enough. As you see, the burnishing has improved, but oh look, the gluing did not. That was purely my fault. Thankfully, this wasn't for a customer. Thankfully. But you notice there's just a little tag there. What I was going to do was I was going to punch 2 holes into it and then attach a back piece so it kind of looped over. But that didn't happen because it was at this point, after looking at it, because I had a couple days where I just could not get myself out to, do some leather working and stuff with that, things of that nature, and all the spots that I burnished started getting fuzzy over time. And we're talking like 2 or 3 days. I'm not taking this gun anywhere. I'm not doing anything with it. Yet these things are just kind of like popping up. Little fuzzies. So I asked questions about it. And people told me it was along the lines of the cheap Chinese leather that I was working with. Which is fine in some cases, but in a lot of cases, not so great. I mean, cheap Chinese leather, it's great if you want a prototype of design, but not so much if you want to actually sell a product. But that's just my opinion, not something you should live by, unless you wind up sharing the same opinion. But yeah. I kept this as sort of like a pseudo gun case because, well, I didn't have anything to protect the gun at the time, but immediately after working on that, I made my absolute worst holster. And it's not the worst based on design or craftsmanship. It's the worst because of what happened after I actually completed the holster and when I went to go waterproof it. Now, somewhere along the lines, I got this wild idea that I should have my own waterproofing system. I should weatherproof these things in a way that is unique to me and possibly use this to possibly sell extra product. My computer went black for a moment. I hope this doesn't mess up the video, otherwise I'm going to be pissed. Yeah. So, I decide I'm going to try and test out this idea of mine, which involves a crock pot, a special mixture of stuff that I'm not going to go into at the moment. It is what it is. In fact, I'm probably never going to tell any of you what the hell is actually in the mixture. But it's all biodegradable. And that's all you need to know. And, well, I got excited and I didn't wait till my leather was completely dry. I thought it was. I was freaking wrong. And it was the same design as the red holster that I showed you. Oh, yeah, forgot to tell you guys. A little skull on there. I freehanded that. So here you are seeing a bit of evolution with my ability to carve. So, yeah. And going back to the previous conversation, well, I tightened some things up. I loosened some other things up. Did not wait till it was fully dry because I got excited. And I completely fucked up about 12, 14 hours worth of work. And that's not including glue dry time. I decided to make this holster a right-handed one because, well, I'm going to be going to some cowboy action shoots sometime in the near future. Still need to get a shotgun for that. I wasn't even mad when I pulled this thing out because now it looks like an uncircumcised penis. Kind of. Do you see it? Hold on. It shrunk up, and I believe there are two reasons why it shrunk like this. One is because all my threading on it is nylon. And two, it's mostly here because that's where a lot of the moisture was. So you just look at it and just, you see, and you know exactly what the fuck happened, but you still want to facepalm. But when I pulled this thing out, I just started laughing like a psychopath because, as far as I'm concerned, I learned what not to do, and I learned an extreme reason why I shouldn't do it. And I find this absolutely hilarious. This also goes on the wall as reasons to not do a certain thing, and I find this absolutely hilarious, in my opinion. And what the fuck? I just noticed two holes in this thing that I didn't realize were there. Yeah, interesting. Is what it is. Totally not gonna fit. Now, let's go back to how I mentioned I had completely jacked up a knife sheath. Well, let me show a couple pictures of it. Guy paid me $30 for that. I personally thought it was beautiful. Just wasn't as functional as I'd like it to be, because in order to actually get to the knife, it requires me to put a lanyard on it, and, well, I should honestly find the guy and give him back his money, thinking about it now. Because I've known this guy for forever, and I feel, looking back at it now, that that was not my best work, and that I should completely just apologize and do a new thing for him. But that was also my first experience with using Herman Oak leather. And this stuff's a fucking dream to work with. Holy shit, it is amazing. But this is also where I learned cheap thread is a big no-no, because I spent a good amount of time fighting the thread, saddle stitching this thing, and just, I'm never using that thread ever again. The only reason why I'm keeping the spool is because I'm going to take it camping one day, so I'm going to make a lean-to. So I'm just going to wrap it around. Alright, let's continue on. The next holster that I'm going to show you, I was making this for my anniversary, which is March 20-something. Not going to say exactly when, because I honestly don't remember exactly. I think it's 28th. Or the 23rd. This is why wives are important. And I had a hybrid idea for a holster, and it failed. So I brought a gun out for date night because we're going to the city. I don't trust people in the city. I live in a small country town, and, well, I just don't have a good track record with being in a city. I got robbed at gunpoint one time. Yeah, so I've never been to a city without a firearm since. Well, this hybrid idea of mine, it started off great, and to me, it's still good on paper, but that's where the goodness ends. I'm keeping this for the sole reason of it was an exciting thing that I got really happy about, but it in the end, it didn't work out, and I understand why it didn't work out. I tried to mix the idea that, what was that, the name of that holster style that people are all fucking apeshit over? Pancake style, yeah! And I wanted to mix the West stuff. I wanted to make it so that you can convert an Old West holster into a pancake style holster any time, and, well, this holster works. It really does, and it's incredibly well built, aside from some fuck-ups in the stitching that I'm not going to go into because I've still, at this point here, have not mastered the art of saddle stitching. But it's functional, but this rig here pokes this gun, the fucking grip out so much that I have to tuck it into my side for it not to come out. And then at that point, it just kind of goes up and just... It's a fucking mess. I would never sell this to anyone. And it was only a half failure. I learned another way how not to make a holster. Now, this piece right here, as you see, it's detachable and all that other fun stuff like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut part of it off right here, and then I'm going to attach a loop on it, and that's what I'm going to do with this holster. I'm going to use this as a cowboy action holster when I get the time. Also going to crank up that angle on it a little bit. And that's the last of my... Nope, that's not the last of my single action army holsters. Let's go fast forward another 3 or so months. And... no, actually it's more like 6 months now that I do it. I'm the only Asian I've ever met that's bad at math, okay? Come on. You get 10 awesome points if you can guess what kind of Asian I am. This was not my last holster that I made. This is the holster before the last one that I made. And this one right here. This is a combination holster of sorts. It was me trying to get, you know, your cowboy action style along with, you know, your modern day styles. Hence the belt loop. Hence another fucking belt loop. And I wind up having a problem that I haven't had for a while. This front belt loop put too much pressure right here and it was going to rip the thing to shreds. But if I decide I want to redo this one, it would be improved so much simply by where I would place such a thing. Then if I loosened up the stitching right around here, it'd be so much better. Oh, crap. I forgot. There's one holster that I made before this. But as you see, burnishing, so much better. Now I've got this beautiful red color that you can't really see because my lighting is complete fucking garbage. Oxblood. I love Fibing's Oxblood. And I got my maker's mark on it. Now, I've got a special method for making these marks that really a lot of you are going to look at me like, what the hell are you even doing? Or I actually take Sumi ink, mix that with neat's foot oil, and then just put that on, and it stays really well, but it's time consuming. Whew. A lot of you aren't going to like that sort of thing, so, you know, whatever. But Once again, my video went black. My screen, like, I still got the screensaver thing going up. Once again, this next holster is a sign of evolution as well as a lack of patience. Evolution of my ability to make things, and showing how I can greatly fuck something up by not being patient. Oh, so many relationship jokes I could make there. Behold. Does this holster look familiar to any of you? It's incomplete, and there's a number of reasons for that, but I'm not going to go into that. But does this look familiar to any of you? I based it off the 310 to Yuma, a Hand of God holster, but for a Schofield instead. And, well, in large part, I did a pretty good job. But let's talk about the places where I fucked up. Right next to the catch. Right next to that little lever that breaks the gun open and ejects all my shells. Now, is it enough that I think it's actually going to do it? No. But the fact of the matter is, yeah, I fucked up. But that's not why I stopped working on this thing, which I'll get to in a minute. Now, let's turn the thing around. I made this little spill here when I was dyeing this thing. I wanted to do this little design here, and I accidentally rubbed up a little bit of black against it because I was also dyeing another project at the same time, and I loved how that kind of reminded me of Flame a little bit. So I did my own special method that I'm not going to go into, and I made these little flame looks. Then I'm going to work on this a little bit. I'm going to perfect this, and you guys are going to fucking love what I have for that. But as you notice now, look at how beautiful the carving I got on here is. It's meant to be like sort of a stained glass sort of deal going on here. And I just love this and how it turned out. Everything's parted off, and then you feel these things. It's got a lot of texture. It's got a lot of character. It didn't get finished, though. I never made a loop for it. And I'll show you why right now. Now, I got overly excited and put the gun in a little bit so I can carry it safely when I was taking it downstairs to get it wet so I could wet mold it. Now, this was before getting the plastic bag and putting it in there. So friction happened and tore up my pigskin. Pigskin liner. Now, also at this point, I was a little unawares of how people felt about pigskin as a liner, and, well, I'm not going to use pigskin ever again, but I love the design I wound up having for the inside of it. It's sort of a two-tone, sort of like a fox camouflage look to it. And looking at a different holster, I used this to make a shelf for the trigger guard. And even with that shelf, it functions decently as, a quick draw holster, and, well, I wanted it to be a daily holster because I'm a cowboy. Not really, but still. I live in a country-ass town. No one was going to question it. Or anything, for that matter. Well, which leads to the next thing. How I've got this parted up in 2 bits here. 2 pieces back to back. This was to keep the thing as rigid as possible whenever it was lying up against you, whenever you do your quick draw. Because I see a lot of holsters, they don't do that. But here I was thinking I was being original. Absolutely fucking not. Turns out a lot of your more expensive holster makers already do this for your quick draw holsters. Okay, now to show you the absolute last holster that I made, the one that I mentioned before, that I gave away literally a couple hours ago. This is going to be my main line of holsters that I'm going to be selling, and I'm having a police officer help me prepare it. He's beta testing it. He's big on the conceal and carry. Former Ranger. I'm not going to say the guy's name. And I'm going to black out his face. Simply because, well, privacy. But, as you see, here's a couple pictures of it. It's while you're working on these things that you realize that you've made a couple issues and, well, I didn't realize the leather was going to shift as much as it would. I didn't think that this giant reinforcement piece was going to be that much of a bear to work with. So holy fucking shit. This thing was tight. And this thing was about 14 hours worth of work. Now, if I tried to make this in the beginning of my career as a holster maker, among other things, it would have been a complete fucking mess and just would not have worked out well at all. And just, I'm honestly amazed that I got as far on it as I did. I actually had to restart halfway through because I cut myself. Right here in the finger, let me see if I can show you this. Focus, you piece of garbage. Do you see the little black spot on my finger? Up there, up. Okay, you see the little black spot? I went in through the side with my knife, and then right up and underneath the nail. Ugh. Because I got excited working on this thing, and I wound up bleeding all over that holster, so I had to actually restart it. Yeah, not a good ordeal. But another reason to learn patience. So I then restarted it, and I made the mistake of starting off with the cheap-ass thread that I mentioned earlier. That was just complete garbage, and never again am I ever using that thread. Ever. That finalized my idea. At first I thought it was my fault, and this thing finalized it. So if you ever were to ask me what kind of thread to use, Ritz Attire thread is freaking amazing. All this other shit, never spend less than $40 on a spool. Someone's going to be commenting. It's like, yeah, well, I spend less than $40 and I do so good. Right? Shut up. I don't care what you think. If I want your opinion, I will freaking ask for it. But yeah, I quite literally started my leatherworking on January 4th of 2019. And as of Wednesday, the 11th of December, I was looking at the calendar on my computer. I am now an official business owner. It is what it is, and I'm going... the reason why I actually technically started it this year, at the end of the year, is because I wanted to be able to use all the tools that I've bought, everything that I bought except for the guns, the actual guns, as a tax write-off for the business, because, well, I don't think it'd qualify if I tried that next year. So I feel all extra official, actually having to pay taxes quarterly now. So yeah, this is a fun, wonderful experience, and I'm soon going to have a website, and I'm going to update this video when the website does get finished up. I wanted to add a couple more products to the list of things. Suspenders are coming. I'm going to finalize the Batwing holster. After a couple months, I'm going to wind up having... by March, at least, I'm going to have the holster, the last one that I showed you. I call it the Vengeance holster. It's an alternative to your, it's an alternative Avenger holster. It's my take on it. And at first I thought I was being extra, what's the word I'm looking for? I thought I was being original when I come up with that design, and I find out someone did it slightly better. So, that happened. But yeah, this is a full-time thing for me soon. Currently I'm working one job. I'm going to be doing videos, which is why I'm going to ask you guys to help me out with Patreon. I'm going to be doing videos on Patreon. Lots of things are going to happen. You're going to love it. Anyways, that's all I have to say for now. You guys have a wonderful day. I've made a couple belts, and my next video is actually going to be on a simple belt. Simple belt. Nothing too fancy. Simple belts. Or at least for the leather channel. Because this video is going on 2 different channels. I got my leather channel, and then I got my entertainment channel. So, you guys have a wonderful day. Wow, 30 minutes and 34 seconds. Wow. Have a good evening.